Worried about Betsy DeVos? Don't be. There are plenty of reasons to be optimistic about the future of education. So this video is going to be in two parts. First, I'm going to talk about what you can do to combat DeVos and her cronies. And the second part is to show you that education has a very rosy future. So what can you do as a parent? Well, the first thing you could do is speak to your child, see if they feel that they're getting a good education. I know what you might be thinking. They're going to say, oh, school is boring, I want to play my Xbox, a PlayStation, a smartphone, or something. When I was in high school, there were a bunch of people in my year who were doing modern studies. Now, I wasn't doing that subject myself, but I did hear about this. Basically, their teacher wasn't really teaching them that much, so they went to the head teacher and made a formal complaint. The more you talk to them about this, the more they'll be willing to confide in you if they have issues with things they're being taught at school, things they're not being taught at school. You just might learn something. You can also join the PTA of your kid's school. That way you'll be able to see firsthand what goes on. If they are doing something problematic, then that also gives you a say in what they're doing, and you can try to change it. But maybe these options aren't open to you. Maybe you're not a parent or a teacher. Maybe you just want to help somehow. What can you do? Well, let me tell you about something called the Education Law Centre. I'll link it down in the description. They fight to make sure that your schools are funded sufficiently. They have anti-bullying campaigns. If your child is disabled, they make sure that your school has adequate access for them. They just do great work advocating on behalf of schools, so if you want to support them, you can donate on their site. Where these options fail you, there are plenty of other things to consider. The internet isn't just a place for cat videos and trolling. There's also plenty of educational resources that you can have a look at. One of these is Khan Academy. Now, that channel has thousands of views on many different topics, many different subjects. They also have a website where you can pick a specific subject and you do a bunch of exercises and you get a number of points for doing the exercise successfully. They've essentially turned learning into a game, which is great news if your kid is obsessed with games. But even just here on YouTube, there are plenty of educational resources that you can find. I will create a playlist of many different channels that are dedicated to providing educational content, and I will constantly be updating it. Please have a look and see if there's anything there that you find useful. And if you know anything yourself that I've maybe not mentioned in that playlist, feel free to mention it down below as well. A large part of my channel is dedicated towards encouraging you to take an interest in developing your own knowledge, your own understanding of the world, and your skills. So I will constantly be providing resources so you can do that ever more easily and with a minimum amount of stress or feeling like it's a chore. Now, let's talk about the future. The internet is changing everything. I've already talked about Khan Academy and all the resources on YouTube, but there have been a number of universities that have given away a lot of their content for free on their website. And there's no better example I can think of than MIT OpenCourseWare. They have tons of different subjects and they've got, all the lecture notes, tons of past papers, the answers for those past papers, projects that they've done, and all of these available completely for free on their website. There are also websites like Coursera and Udacity that offer Nano Degrees. Now these are essentially like ordinary degrees, except they focus on more specific topics. Now I think this is a lot more useful than a lot of degree programs at the moment, because a lot of employers are saying, they're interviewing candidates and they don't have the right skills. By making the degree smaller and a lot more tailored, that should provide better results, but I think we can go even further still. And I think there are a lot of opportunities in even just current technology for us to get even better results yet. And with that in mind, I want to talk about what I think will be a complete game changer: virtual reality. We already have a number of different virtual reality platforms out there. There's already a surgeon simulator game. Now think about what this could be like in the future. As technology evolves, as the graphics get better, as we begin to introduce haptics, this is when the sense of touch is reconstructed so you can feel the objects in your virtual reality world. This will allow people access to, say, medical training without having to apply to medical school, without having to get access to a lab or an operating room. Eventually you could train to do pretty much anything in a virtual reality environment, and those skills will be transferable to the real world. And if you turn it into a game, then you could just have employers ask people to play these certain games in virtual reality and just hire the people with the highest scores. And if you think, well, they're never going to go for this, there's already an example where something like this is happening. GitHub, it's a coding website. You go on there and you just code for various different projects and you increase your GitHub score. And in this field, a lot of employers are already asking for, and in fact demanding, that their applicants have GitHub scores. So mock the idea all you like, it's just not as crazy as it sounds. Now, what happens when AI takes all of our jobs? You've probably heard this statistic that in the next 20 to 25 years, AI is going to take half of all jobs. What's the point in education when there's no longer a job for the thing you're training for? The thing is, it hasn't always been about getting a job. It's about improving yourself, improving your own knowledge, your own understanding of the world, your own abilities, to make you a better person. Nothing I'm learning at the moment is going to be used in a job at any time in the future, unless it's something maybe I mention on here. I learn these things because I like learning. I like being able to see further than I could before. I like being able to do things that I couldn't do before. When all the jobs are gone, we'll still want to learn. We'll always want to improve ourselves. It's just human nature. And eventually, once we can edit the human body itself, we'll be able to pull a matrix and just download skills and knowledge into our brains. In fact, in the future, you could be born already knowing more than everyone alive knows today, being able to do everything that anyone on the planet can do today, and a lot more. Whatever skills and knowledge are available in the future, that will be available to you from the moment of your own birth. Assuming, of course, people are still born. So as you can see, the future of education is very safe. We've just hit a bit of a speed bump at the moment, but things are going to get a lot better. We just might need to pay a bit more attention and to fight a bit harder. I will keep providing these resources, keep giving you updates on these future technologies, and if you'd like to support me in doing this, consider giving this video a thumbs up, subscribing, leave a comment below telling me what you thought, and I will see you next time. English has 189,819 letters. It's the chemical name for titin, a muscle protein. These is volunteering. I myself was a scout leader for nearly 10 years. But let's say that you don't really like getting your hands dirty.